This is a bishop gonna, like, bully you or something. F*** nerd. He's got a gay pride flag in his front yard. He'll give you a wedgie or some shit.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's ex-mormon with My Spiritual Life. I got Jared helping me out here today. And today, we're talking about some hardcore judging that went down recently in Sandy, Utah. So, actually, what we're going to be doing is reading a letter to you guys that was written to an active LDS member from another active LDS member, pretty much judging her for raising and flying an LGBTQ flag. So that's why we're wearing our judging shirts, our Judge Like a Jensen shirts. Yeah. So all we know about this letter is that it was given to an active member in Sandy, Utah, and that's all we know. So let's do this. And I just have to preface this with, when I was reading this, I was just cracking up because it's like all the stereotypical Sister Jensen things that we do in our Sister Jensen skits that we like kind of think are just too funny to be real.
Yeah, it's a caricaturized version of a real person. Like,
yes, not all Mormons are like this.
I thought no Mormons were like Sister Jensen, but I don't know. This is kind of
legendary. All right, here we go. Dear Autumn Ridge neighbor and ward member,
hopefully you will read the following in the spirit that it is offered. It is not intended to be contentious or to cause bad feelings. Recently, flags of the LGBT community were flown in our neighborhood, which is concerning to many of us. Therefore, please ask yourself the following questions. Is choosing to fly the colors of the LGBT community consistent with the covenants you made with God as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints?
Okay, hold on right there. Holy moly. So I was cracking up when I was reading this because I was like, are you serious right now? Like, first thing I want to point out that she says is that, which is concerning to many of us. You're flying this flag and it's concerning to many of us. And she doesn't sign her name at the end of this letter. At the end of this letter, she writes, your Autumn Ridge neighbors and ward members, which it could be true that a bunch of them got together and wrote this, but my guess is it was probably one person and probably claimed it was everyone so that she didn't have to take credibility for her opinion.
We also don't know who wrote it, so we don't know that it's a woman, but we're saying it was written by Sister Jensen, so we're going to say she from now on.
Yes, thank you for the clarification. We don't know it was written by a woman, but it was.
It was written by Sister Jensen, for sure.
Just kidding. Anyway, another thing I wanted to point out here was that she said, is choosing to fly these colors in alignment with the covenants you made with God. And, like, this is just, like, as passive-aggressive and manipulative as you can get. Basically, her calling into question, like, what, like, not just are you doing something wrong, but you're doing something wrong in God's eyes, and you promised God you would never do something like support gay people.
Well, it's a rainbow flag, so it's more consistent with the covenant God made with us to not flood us to death again. So,
oh my God,
maybe that's what they meant. Maybe they didn't know it was a gay pride flag. Maybe they just thought it was, man, I'm really glad God didn't drown my whole family and everyone I know and country and world to death again.
Can you imagine the letter back, like, how dare you judge my flag?
I know.
This is my flag, thanking God for not drowning me today.
We're taking back the rainbow.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm going to read a little more of it. Have you considered the message that you are sending to your non-Mormon neighbors? And I just want to point out, like, what is the message you're sending? Is the message you're sending that it's okay to be gay? Because that's wrong. It is not okay.
Imagine. I don't think there's any way the message is that malicious, okay?
Oh my God. And then she says, and this confused me at first, but she says, will a casual observer know or appreciate that you are trying to draw attention to gay teen suicide? So I think this is her making an assumption that someone's flying the flag in appreciation and drawing attention to gay teen suicide. I don't know how she would know that.
I would assume that Sister Jensen and this member have either had conversations before about this, or they've seen this member's Facebook profile, because a lot of times people are active on Facebook, and she's probably posted something about how, look, I'm not trying to detract from your beliefs, but Utah has a very high level of gay teen suicide, so this is what I'm drawing attention to. And this person's like, well, okay, I guess suicide is an acceptable message, but they think that you're endorsing gay people. So at least let them know you're just saying don't kill yourselves instead of saying it's okay to live the way you want to live.
So next she says, can you love and support your neighbor and others without flying a flag that actively promotes a lifestyle that is out of alignment with God's plan for the family?
There's that old adage that you can't please everyone, and I think what she's doing here is asking this member to please everyone. Like, okay, could you? I get it, you support the gays and shit, but like, could you maybe not talk about it? It makes me uncomfortable. You support me, you support the gays. If you just shut up about it.
Oh my gosh,
I guess
that's terrible.
Please everyone.
Oh, it's so manipulative. Like the way, this is something that really bothers me that like a lot of high demand religious people will do is they'll make God the bad guy. Like, oh, it's not me saying this. Like, God is the one that's saying this. Like what she just said is like, that actively promotes a lifestyle that's out of alignment with God's plan for the family. So, oh, I'm not the asshole here. God's he's the God. It's just so, it just comes across so incredibly condescending. And, oh man, I can't just help but laugh because I really can't take this letter seriously at all.
I mean, it goes all the way back to the roots of Mormonism, right? Making God the asshole, kind of passing the buck off on him. That was one of the first things Joseph Smith did with the, look, I really don't want to marry your 14-year-old daughter, but God is going to kill me if I don't. I'm sorry. I don't know why they all sound like that.
Yeah, he was that from Boston?
I guess.
Yeah, Joseph Smith was from Boston, for anyone
He's
who didn't
from
know
upstate New York.
It's true, actually. For those who don't know what the reference Jared's making,
he married a 14-year-old.
And he told her that God told him he had to, or God was going to kill him.
You gonna kill my ass if I don't marry you.
So, yeah, fun times. Okay, so let's see. Next, one second. This next part is so good. Are you aware of what the gay pride flag stands for? She even put gay pride flag in quotes.
Does it stand for gay pride? I don't know what she's getting at.
Wait, look at this. Are their values your values? And this is where I'm like, I don't even know what she means by that.
I think she doesn't understand that, like, Mormonism is a religion, but being gay isn't. So, like, you don't have to all have the same ideas if you're gay. It's like, did you know all gay people believe in killing puppies? Because that's just part of their religion. Like, that's their agenda.
Oh my gosh. I think it's so funny because I sit here and I think, what does she think that gay people's values are? Like, in accordance with the flag? Because I think if I were to ask some extreme Mormon, like, what is a gay person's values that's represented by the flag? Like, maybe someone like this would just say, anal. Like, I don't know. I don't know what she would say, but, like, to me, it's just silly to to use that as a weapon, you know. Are their values your values? Well, what are their values? Do you even know? Like,
I guess a Mormon value is just specifically not being gay, so when a person's entire identity is against your value system, then I guess you can say that they have conflicting values.
I guess so. It almost makes it sound like you said, the puppy murder thing, like there's some specific thing that she's referring to that, like, we're not aware of. But I guess it's just the whole thing. It's like, oh, if you are gay, that is against my values. So how dare you? So then she wraps this paragraph up with saying, if you are unsure about any of these questions, please conduct a prayerful search to obtain your answers. And I think it's so funny because there's nothing more passive aggressive than asking someone like 8 questions that are very leading, you know, like, and then make sure you go to God for your answers. And the funny thing about that is that a lot of people in Christianity are starting to be more accepting of gay people of different kinds of lifestyles. And so it's funny because, like, some people would say that they pray and that there's nothing wrong with this. But with the LDS Church, it's like when you pray, you're expected to get an answer that's in alignment with the LDS Church. So what she's saying is, like, she knows there's no way you could get any other answer other than flying this gay flag is, like, abhorrent in God's eyes. Can you imagine Heavenly Father looking down like, the flag?
It's not my fault that God always agrees with me. It's just the way it is.
I just can't take this seriously. Like, I feel like a lot of people are angry at this, and I don't want me laughing about this to come across as like I don't appreciate like this kind of stuff or whatever, but I seriously cannot take this seriously. It's just too ridiculous.
Yeah, people who are not serious people don't deserve to be taken seriously.
That's true. You shouldn't take it seriously. No one should.
That's why you ought to laugh at this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's shitty and passive aggressive, but it's also not from a real person. And that's mean because it's a person. I don't want to dehumanize anyone, but like, it's not from a person that I would take seriously. As soon as you say something like, "That's a lovely soul you have there. Shame if anything would have happened to it."
You're on a roll with those voices today.
You start mafia veiled threatening people's salvation because of a flag. Then I don't view you as a serious thinker, and so I don't take you very seriously.
There you go. Oh my goodness. Okay, so next. Also ask yourself, do I demonstrate the values of the church and do I honor the covenants that I made to follow the teachings of the church and Christ? She already pretty much said that. Take notice of the ward members who did not agree to have flags placed on their yards, including our bishop and his counselors, who are setting the example that we all should follow. I'm going to straight up figure out the address of this bishop, and I'm going to go put a gay pride flag in his yard every night.
I don't understand, because that almost makes it sound like they just went and put gay pride flags in everyone's yards. And if they did that, then I understand being annoyed that somebody put a flag in your yard, but I don't think that's what happened. Otherwise, they would talk more about it. Because they say, like, some of us didn't agree to have a gay pride flag in our yard. Well, you don't. If I have one in my yard, you still don't have one in your yard.
Maybe it was a Utah-wide thing, like put a flag up for gay teen suicide or something.
I don't know.
Maybe, but still, like, she's drawing on authority to make you feel bad here, like saying, "Oh, the bishop and his counselors who are called by God did not do this evil thing that you did, which is exactly why you should stop doing that."
Their values go against our values. Not to mention, it's really not trendy.
What?
All the cool kids do not have gay pride flags in their front yard.
Hashtag cool bishop.
Is a bishop gonna, like, bully you or something? Nerd. He's got a gay pride flag in his front yard. He'll give you a wedgie or some shit.
Oh my gosh. Now this part is what really gets me, because she uses temple stuff to further drive her point home. So if you weren't already feeling bad, here we go. If you decide that temple attendance is an important part of your worship, and if you decide to receive or renew a temple recommend, try to truthfully answer the following question. And she put the number 7 right there, which I'm guessing means it's the 7th question of the temple interview.
Yeah, I suppose.
Do you support or promote teachings, practices, or doctrine contrary to those of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? Can you truthfully say that you do not support or promote a contrary doctrine when you fly the colors of an organization that is clearly inconsistent with these practices? I cannot believe that someone would stoop so low as, like, temple attendance is supposed to be one of the most important things for Mormons. And it's something that a lot of them take really seriously. And so for her to sit here and say, basically, if you fly that flag, you're not worthy to go to the temple, but to phrase it in such a condescending way, like, do you really think you're worthy to go to the temple if you're doing that? Like, really think about that, you know? And it's just so silly to me and so shame-infested. Like, and again, like, you being able to go to the temple, like, there's a worthiness interview you have to pass and blah, blah, blah. But that really should be between you and God, right? Like, that should be between you and God if you feel like, you know, you're living the standards appropriately. But here she is coming in and basically telling you that it doesn't matter what you think, you're not worthy to go to the temple. And it's like, that's just so judgmental and so not, you know, forgive me, but Christ-like, right?
I don't know. Jesus was probably pretty judgy.
Oh, God.
He braided a whip and beat those poor people just for selling stuff in the temple.
Oh, my gosh.
All they did was desecrate his holy spot, and he thought he could hurt him.
Sometimes I wonder whose side you're really on.
I'm on my side.
The Church of Jared.
And nobody's invited. It's just me. I'm the prophet.
And it's at home, in my pajamas.
Yeah, I don't put effort into it, if that's what you're saying.
I don't put effort into my church. Oh my goodness. I couldn't believe, like, using a temple question. I mean, I could believe it. I couldn't believe it at the same time. Like, a temple question? Really? Like, oh my gosh. So next she says, these are the observations of concerned neighbors and fellow members who desire to share our point of view. And again, right here, she's trying to basically shame this person into not doing this flag anymore by saying everyone's against you. Like, all of us are against you and no one signed their names. Like, all of us mystery neighbors are against this. And it could have been several of them, but I still have a feeling that it was just one grouchy person. Next, she says, you are blessed with moral agency and you are obviously free to act in a manner consistent with your agency. Just consider if highlighting your agency in such a public way is how you want to be known or remembered. Like, on your gravestone, like, it says, like, she flew the gay flag. Like, that's all they remember about you. Like, oh my God, the levels of passive aggression just keep going. And then...
Well, it also doesn't make any sense, because if you tell that to somebody who flies a gay pride flag, be like, do you really want to be remembered for flying a pride flag? They're going to be like, well, yes.
Right.
Because it's not a threat to them. That's like, oh, well, thank you. You're going to remember me for that?
That's a really good point. Well, and I love how she's like, you're blessed with moral agency. There's this whole thing of, like, in Mormonism and probably in a lot of high demand religions where it's like, well, I don't know actually, but anyway, blah, 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 blah. There's this thing in Mormonism with agency, right? That she uses here, like, you're blessed with agency and you can use it to choose wrong. like that's pretty much what a lot of members will do. to, I don't know, kind of like condescendingly like be okay with their ex-Mormon family members. Like they'll be like, oh, well, he was using his free agency, and you know, God bless free agency, but man, was he using his free agency the wrong way?
It's weird because, I don't know, Mormonism puts such an emphasis on free agency, but Mormons seem to not really give a shit about how significant that is. You know, because they only use it, and again, not all of the Mormons, you know, I gotta be fair, but like, a lot of them use it like this in a way that if anybody else said this, agency would be directly implied. Like, I don't have to say, like, when I'm telling my kid not to steal a car, I don't be like, well, I mean, you can obviously choose to steal the car, but you shouldn't steal the car. But, like, that goes without saying that you can choose. Like, you don't, in any conversation, that's just implied. When you say, well, I would counsel you not to fly the pride flag. Nobody's going to be like, I can't choose. Obviously you can. Why are you bringing this up? It just makes, I think in their head it makes them look like a bigger person or
like,
something.
There's this
They're
nobility,
like, well,
yeah.
I'm not going to take away your agency. Well, you fucking can't. You don't have that ability. Why are you telling me that? It's like saying, I'm not going to fly over there like Superman and move you to the other side of the globe so you can't fly the pride flag anymore. Well, of course you're not. You can't do that. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. I'm saying you can't.
It's just so silly because it's just like trying to act like she has the moral high ground by saying, like, you have the right to choose what's wrong, and I respect that about you. It's just so condescending. Like, it's just so silly and ridiculous. And, you know, she signed it, your Autumn Ridge neighbors and ward members, like I mentioned before. So,
but
again,
we know it was Sister
not
Jensen.
taking credibility for it. Right. Not taking credibility for it.
Not taking credit for it.
Yeah, thank you. Not taking credit for it, and like not being willing to put your name to something and say this, like, and not even being willing to have a conversation about it. And that's something that's really frustrating, because like, what if she had just talked to her neighbor about this and was like, listen, you know, I don't like that you're doing this, and here's why. Let's have a discussion about it. And like, you know, maybe it's not going to go anywhere, but maybe we can have a better mutual understanding if we do. Because we don't know why this member was flying this flag. This member could have a gay brother or a gay cousin or something like that. That she is like, you know, she can feel like the church is true, but still love her brother and still think that gay teen suicide is absolutely horrendous, you know? So, I don't know. I think it's so silly. And the funny thing about this, too, is that the person that wrote this letter, because of the narrative that you can feed yourself from being a part of a high-demand religion like this, the person that wrote this letter, she's the hero in her mind. She's the hero who's standing up against people who are falling to the ways of the world. Like, she's the hero that's standing up for the beliefs and for the ward and pointing out the hypocrisy in the members. And, like, it's, like, noble. It's, like, heroic. You know what I mean? In her head. And it's just terrible that that's the kind of foundation that's laid for this kind of thing to come to fruition.
Yeah, well, Sister Jensen here thinks she's a hero because she set it up in a way by not signing her name, by not coming and talking to the person, to where there will be no opposition to this statement.
Yeah.
Right? She will not receive conflicting opinions that she actually has to combat. So you just win automatically that way. In her head, you don't actually win. You're being weak. To me, honestly, it shows her words claim that this is a very sincerely held belief. But her actions don't. Because if this belief is so important and sincerely held to her, she would own it. You know, you'd put your name on it.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of unpopular opinions, and I put my name on all of them.
That's true.
And I don't know. The other problem is if she had a conversation with this member, which I don't know what it is about Mormonism, but I think it teaches us to avoid necessary conflict. I think a lot of our society today teaches us to avoid necessary conflict, but I think Mormonism might be even more so. And face-to-face interaction like that is a necessary conflict if you have differing opinions and you want to sort them out. Writing a letter is kind of like, a Facebook comment. To us, I think our brains can't quite process that that's another human. We sort of automatically dehumanize them because they're not in front of our face.
Yeah.
And so we can say to them whatever.
Things we wouldn't say to someone face to face normally.
Yeah. So if she went and said, hey, I'm uncomfortable with this because of these reasons, she can even write it out and explain. And then, the person who flew flags can be like, well, here's my explanation. They can talk it out. And then by the end of it, there's probably not really going to be any conflict. Nobody's going to change their minds probably, but the conflict would likely be resolved and they'd have a greater understanding of each other and it'd be a better thing. But instead, she's unwilling to back up her opinions with her name and these closely held convictions that she claimed she had. And she's too much of a pansy to come and do it face to face.
Right. And again, blaming everyone else. Because again, this could have been written by several people, but I'm guessing it was just written by one. And maybe she got a couple people in the ward to agree with her, like, yeah, that was probably inconsistent. And then she's like, see, everyone agrees. And then slap that on the letter. All of your ward members. Oh my gosh, yeah. So just reading that, I don't even know what else to say. Like, that was just a mean person who thinks she's a hero because she's standing up for God. And I just think it's so funny. Anytime you make God out to be an asshole, it's like, why do you want to believe in that God? Like, I've seen people use this argument so much where they throw God under the bus. Like, someone will say, someone will post something about gay acceptance or whatever, and someone else will post like, oh, this is so disturbing, and then they'll get into a conversation about it, and someone's gonna end up saying,
it's not my fault, it's in the Bible.
It's not.
I didn't write the Bible. I don't write the rules.
I didn't write the rules. It's God's rule that being gay is wrong. And to me, it's like, the minute you sit there and just paint God out to be the bad guy, how does that make you feel any better?
Have some conviction, you coward.
Right? Like, maybe have an opinion. Like, I remember this was a really big deal for me during my faith crisis because I grew up in St. Louis. I had a lot of gay friends, and I just couldn't really see, like, what it was that was wrong. And I kept thinking, well, like, their lifestyle isn't something that God approves of, but whatever. God's going to sort it out. Because I'm like, well, a lot of these people, they've never been Mormon or Christian. Like, so maybe they don't know better, so it's not a big deal. I'm like, God will figure it out. But as I was thinking about this and I sat and I kept thinking, like, during my faith crisis, I was like, I can't think of any reason why, like, God would be so upset if two dudes want to bang. Like, I was like, I can't come up with any reason unless there's some kind of eternal spiritual law that I can't understand. And again, I'm not trying to diss on anyone, whatever. But there's no reason that I could come up with, and I thought about this really hard. There's no reason I could come up with why God would be looking down here like, oh, not the two dudes or chicks. Like, that's just no. I couldn't come up with any reason. And I just remember going through my faith crisis and feeling like I couldn't come up with a reason in my mind why God would frown upon two dudes doing it or two chicks or whatever. And I thought really hard about it. I couldn't think of any reason. And I think that it's so easy when you give your authority away to a church and you just say, well, they know the truth about everything, so I don't have to think about it. And I think this is where letters like this stem from, is this idea that, well, again, throwing God under the bus, this is God's rule, so it's not my fault. Like, even though I can't come up with a single reason why being gay is wrong, it's just wrong because God says it's wrong. To me, that's lazy. It's lazy thinking. I don't know. And maybe it's not lazy as much as they're just not thinking about it. Because I didn't think about it most of my life. I really didn't. Anyway, comment down below what you thought about that letter. Please make your comment very passive-aggressive. We appreciate that. And thank you guys for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Go check out the link in the description if you want an awesome Judge Like a Jensen shirt or some other cool ex-Mormon stuff. Whoops, cover it up. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.